31. It should not have worked. When the boys wake up in the hospital, groggy and weak, they see their parents standing behind a window, waving tearfully. The doctors have chosen to keep the boys isolated to protect their immune systems. At the sight of their families, the boys cry. They are indescribably relieved and happy. Their parents feel the same. Finally, the parents get to see the sons they had come so close to losing forever. Soon, they get to cross the barrier and put their arms around their children, cradle their faces, and cry all over again. Their sons are so much thinner than the last time they held them, but incredibly, all 13 wild boars are in good health. This is despite the many knocks to the head and dips in body temperature they experienced during their extraction. Coach Egg's core temperature right after his rescue was measured at 84 degrees Fahrenheit, 29 degrees Celsius, a full 11 degrees Fahrenheit below the threshold for hypothermia. Dee woke up from his sedation with a fever, and Knight and several others have had to take antibiotics for chest infections. But that's about it. None of the boys remember anything about the rescue. After a few days, the boys record video messages, thanking everyone who helped with the rescue or prayed for their return. They smile behind their paper face masks as they talk about the first non-hospital foods they'll eat when they get home. Crispy pork, rice, Japanese sushi. Adun puts in a request for Kentucky Fried Chicken. 4 of the boys passed their birthdays inside the cave. Knight, Nick, Note, and Dom. There were no celebrations at the time, and their families intend to make up for it. While they are still resting up in the hospital, the doctors wheel in a television so they can watch the final match of the World Cup. The boys' favorite team, England, has sadly been knocked out, so they cheer for France instead. Little Mark shouts the loudest of everyone, except for the doctors. This is the World Cup, after all. After a week of recuperation, the kids are finally given the okay to go home. They bid a tearful and grateful goodbye to the doctors and nurses who took such good care of them. The hospital staff gives them some advice. Go back to your normal life as much as you can. Be with the people who love you and who will make you feel safe. The boys go home with their families to sleep in their own beds. Coach Egg returns to the place in Masai he calls home, the temple Wat Doi Wow. The rest of the team will soon join him. No one told the wild boars much about the rescue until they were safely recovering in the hospital. Gently, doctors broke the news to them about Samad Gunan's death. Everyone cried. All the boys felt a heavy weight of sadness. They thought about the Navy SEALs and Dr. Pak, who had cared for them in Chamber 9 and who had come to feel like family. Samad had sacrificed his own life to save theirs. He was also family, though they would never meet him. The team agrees they want to honor Saman's memory. They want to do something to show their deep gratitude for someone who worked so hard to get them out of Tamluang. They decide that all the Buddhist boys will become novice monks at Wat Doi Wow. This temple is a familiar place for them, where they go every day after school to play and hang out, and eat leftover food that the monks don't finish. The boys are willing to serve out a full term of 3 months, but the senior monk wants them to return to school and their normal lives. It is decided that the boys will be monks for 9 days, the same number of nights they were trapped inside Chamber 9 before they were found. With Coach Egg, the boys go through the ordination ceremony. Their heads are shaved and washed, and they are blessed. They dress in the saffron-colored robes, and probably have to help one another into them, and take the novice monk's oaths. Now they get a deep teaching of the prayer and meditation that kept up their will to survive inside the cave. These practices will strengthen the boys from the inside out, building a solid foundation that will keep them steady after they leave the temple. On August 6th, the boys return to school and arrive to a joyous welcome from their classmates. It is so good to be back. Their friends have been waiting eagerly for this day. Now they'll get to joke with their buddies again, and things will start to feel like normal. The Wild Boars' classmates all promise to help the boys catch up on their studies and tutor them in the lessons they missed. Plans are hatched to go out to eat as soon as possible. On August 8th, Coach Egg and the 3 boys who were stateless are all granted Thai citizenship. They can now travel outside the country, study, and work without fear of punishment. There are still up to 3.5 million stateless people living in the shadows in Thailand, including hundreds of thousands of refugees, many of whom are children. The rescue of the wild boars has drawn more attention to this problem and has increased calls by activists to address it. There is hope that the wild boars rescue and political changes in Thailand will lead to reforms that will bring stateless people in Thailand out of the shadows and into the light. Now that the wild boars are home, their lives are both back to normal and forever changed. The boys who once imagined having to bike home alone after getting out of the cave have become international celebrities. Strangers stop them on the street to take photos with them. They have been invited by governments to take part in ceremonies and official visits all over the world. They have been given a closet's worth of soccer jerseys. They have changed on the inside, too. Their parents say their sons are more patient, calm. They seem more grown up and mature, and they show gratitude for small things. The boys themselves say they learned a lot from the rescue. For sure, they are never going anywhere without telling their parents first. But more than that, the experience seems to have broadened their visions for the future. They'd all love to be professional soccer players when they grow up, of course, but now some of the boys imagine becoming Navy SEALs, just like Saman Hunan, and the brave men who stayed with them in the darkness. They want to finish school and get good jobs so they can help support their families. In an interview with ABC News, Adun shares insights about the rescue that show a wisdom far beyond his years. I want to thank everyone. You loved us, and we also love you all. We feel like we have a lot of parents all around the world, and I wish I could meet you and thank you from the bottom of my heart. He adds, we are still young and have a lot to learn before we can reach our goals. But we will be good kids, just like everyone wishes us to be. I promise I will try my best.